The entire DMV is watching the weather closely this Monday afternoon. Thanks so much for watching the news at 4. I'm Annie Yu. Conditions are rapidly changing across the region and the impacts are being felt. Just take a look at this time lapse from earlier this afternoon. We are under a rare level 4 out of 5 risk for severe storms today. That means we're keeping you informed about potentially life-threatening weather and a dynamic and changing forecast. Let's get you outside for a live look over D.C. at this hour. It's been coming down steady out there all day, and we could be gearing up for another round of rain and snow. We've got team coverage for you tonight with our crews spread throughout the DMV from storm response in D.C. to Northern Virginia, Montgomery County, and Prince George's County. Our crews are spread out across the region, keeping you informed as these storms move through. But first, let's get right over to the chief topper shut-in meteorologist Caitlin McGrath for the latest timing, threats, and impacts that we need to know. First things first, the tornado watch now canceled for most of our region.
Yeah, that is good news. Now, it doesn't mean we're in the clear because we're going to see some gustier downpours later tonight, but the risk for rotating storms really has diminished.
Yeah, we are concerned about when the front itself moves through. We could still see some pretty strong straight line winds, so don't let your guard down just yet. And yes, some of the rain could briefly end as snow again.
It has been an exciting March here in the weather department, and today has been no exception. So let's get you to your forecast right now. Again, that tornado watch has been canceled for the entire area except Westmoreland County, down into the northern neck of Virginia. That tornado watch is still in effect until 7 o'clock tonight. But let's get you over to radar because what an improvement we have seen just over the last hour. We currently don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings. There are still some stronger storms over onto the eastern shore, but right now we're just tracking some light nuisance showers. So still not a totally smooth sailing afternoon and evening commute. You will have some damp roads to contend with, and we do have a flood warning in effect for parts of Montgomery and Fairfax County until 6:30 this evening. This is for that flooding that we've been tracking on the American Legion Bridge on 495. In some low-lying areas, there has been some lane closures and some flooding. Some small streams and creeks rather in the area also have reports of overflowing their banks from the heavier downpours earlier today. Again, right now just seeing some light spotty showers, and you have several hours until we see that kind of next round of some heftier downpours roll through. But our weather impact alert does continue until 8 o'clock tonight for those scattered showers, some heavier downpours, and some gusty wind. Again, the line that we'll be tracking later this evening could still pack those winds 60 to possibly 70 miles per hour. So still a good idea to keep those devices charged. We'll time out that next line for you here using Futurecast. This is right around 6 o'clock this evening. Still not much going on, so hopefully the afternoon and evening commute is in pretty decent shape here over the next several hours, but say by 7, 8 o'clock, we'll be tracking that next line with some heavier downpours, some blustery wind. This is the cold front itself, and it's going to drag in really cold air really quickly. That's why we see that flip over to snow back along the I-81 corridor. By about 8 o'clock this evening, could start to see some flakes closer to the metro by 10, 11 o'clock, so be sure to check back in with Topper later this evening rather, where we could see a few of those snowflakes flying around. We'll have much more on your forecast and a very chilly St. Patrick's Day coming up in just a few minutes.
My goodness, still a very busy day. Thanks, Caitlin. Take a look at this video shot a few hours ago. This was out of Damascus. The storm that came through there shortly before 1 o'clock took down that tree and caused a trampoline to fly on top of a car. My goodness, that is where we find our Matt Gregory live right now with an update. And Matt, that's the concern, I think, going into tonight is just those winds and the possible damage.
Yeah, the damage that we've seen, by the way, has been sporadic and minimal. I mean, this was a very lucky situation. I'll show you what we're looking at right now, and you can see it's already pretty much cleaned up here. Neighbors came by, helped out, chopping up the tree, getting the car out from underneath the trampoline. But that's something we've been seeing throughout the area is, minimal damage, although, with the winds and with how wet it is now, that's something people are definitely worried about. That's why schools in Montgomery County were out early today. This morning, Pepco crews in Rockville started preparing for damage from the storms, alerting crews and making contingency plans.
Our sister utilities might be impacted as well too, but we typically can move resources around.
Rodney O'Doy, the chief operating officer at Pepco, says high winds could see trees knock down power lines or utility poles, and the more that are down, the longer it'll take to get power back.
On average, I mean, you're talking several hours if you have multiple broken poles as a result of tree damage.
A little afternoon, Montgomery County schools dismissed early to lines of parents waiting.
Yeah, it's a good decision because like this, everybody's safe on the street.
And I think it was a good call. Honestly, I was going to keep them home, but with the early dismissal, I thought it was safe enough to send them.
While we talked to parent Holly Ligori, students came out and the rain started to pour.
We have non-perishables. We were stocked up on propane for our grill. We have candles, flashlights, extra blankets, water, things like that.
And around that time in Damascus, emergency alerts went out.
My little one was starting to get very frightened. I said, okay, we're going to go shelter in the basement.
While Shadi Lake and her family sheltered in the basement, wind gusts knocked down the tree in their front yard and blew their trampoline on top of the family car. And not long after, a neighbor knocked on the door.
And was like, oh my gosh. He's like, that's why I checked to see if you're okay.
As they assess the damage, Shadi knows it could have been worse.
I'm really thankful, honestly, for the warnings because I take those seriously.
Thankful for the warning, and I think also thankful for neighbors. We were just talking with Shadi a little bit ago, and you can see they've now chopped the tree up, the trampoline. It's still upside down, but at least the car is out from under it. These are the important things, right? Watching neighbors helping neighbors in messes like this. That was, one of the things that I think was a bright spot today, which has been just kind of a chaotic weather-wise. I mean, we're starting to see rain right now. This is how it's been going, though. Heavy downpours. Sun will come out. No rain, and then the wind kicks up and the rain starts again. So, in addition to all of that to factor in with how that's going to make roads a little slippery and could potentially, like you saw here, push trees down, knock them over. Another thing is, should you have power outages, we're told by Pepco the thing to do is to download the app. That way you can see where outages might be, report outages, and know when they could be finished completing work. So that's what we're keeping an eye on out here in Damascus in northern Montgomery County, and we'll continue following this throughout the afternoon. But for now in Damascus, I'm Matt Gregory. Back to you.
All right, Matt, thank you so much for that. Thank goodness no one was hurt. To D.C. now, federal government agencies and the Smithsonian Museums closed early about 2 hours ago. D.C. leaders Metro and Pepco held a joint news conference this afternoon, and Rafael Sanchez Cruz was there and joins us live right now from Lincoln Park in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. Rafael, the mayor really informing the residents about how to prepare for the storm and the winds.
Yeah, she kept emphasizing about those risks, Annie. So you might be wondering, why am I at the park in Capitol Hill? Well, DC leaders telling me they're keeping a close eye on what they call mature trees. And look, in this neighborhood, we're surrounded by them as we are in different neighborhoods across the district. So DC schools closed 2 hours early. So did all the programming for Department of Parks and Recreation. Those were suspended this afternoon. Now, DC's Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency director says his team was briefed today. They're comparing the risk level to the 2012 derecho, a destructive thunderstorm outbreak in June of that year. Now, Mayor Muriel Bowser is asking D.C. residents to stay home until these storms clear our area. She also had this warning for residents.
But we also want to set a clear expectation that in the most significant case of weather today, if we have significant numbers of down trees or down power lines across the city, it could take several days or longer to get back to normal. So we all are praying to the weather gods, but we are also preparing.
Yeah, you heard it there. They are preparing. So right now we just have a very light sprinkle, no winds just yet. But what happens if those winds do hit the district? What do you do? Well, they're telling us you should call 311. And DC's Director of Transportation is telling people that when they make those calls, they need to be detailed. Is the tree on top of a car? Is it completely obstructing a street? Is it partially obstructing a street? That way, her crews can really triage and determine what trees need to be prioritized to get the city back in order. I'm going to echo what the mayor said there, of course, praying to the weather gods that we don't get hit hard here in the district. Back to you, Annie.
Yes, and thankfully things seem a little calmer now with the tornado watch, watch canceled, but still, as Caitlin said, we still have a long night ahead. Thank you so much, Rafael. Let's take you to Fairfax County now. That is where we find our Matthew Torres. Matthew, how is it looking in Fairfax this afternoon?
Hey, Annie, we are getting that break now for about a couple of hours from the heavy downpour as well as that strong wind. Really the perfect opportunity to see crews such as Dominion Energy out here near Spring Hill Elementary School. We're on Lewinsville Road. for the past couple of hours, they've really just been trimming the trees around these power lines just as a safety precaution. At this hour, we know more than 700 customers are still without power. So no doubt, it's good that we do have that break from that severe storm right now. Fairfax County really preparing for this weather. They have already closed the government center, courts, community centers and libraries early, as well as Fairfax County Public Schools. Students were able to get out of school 3 hours early. This is video at Justice High School in Falls Church. And while students got to go home early, they are aware that safety is a top priority. One senior telling me that this is highly unusual, but she understands, knowing that especially around that school, there are old trees that could potentially be a danger. And she feels, even though that it is a big school, that it's wise to have all of the students not in one spot in case something severe were to happen, that they can be home and hopefully hunker down. And so far, we did not see that type of weather activity this afternoon, but still, the wind can still be a concern, especially later today. And so Dominion Energy says for anyone, of course, make sure to download their app as well as to avoid any down power lines if it does get to that point. They are ready to mobilize, but in the meantime, they're also trying to stay prepared by making sure these lines that are above ground won't be affected by falling trees. Annie?
All right, Matthew, thank you. And now we want to get a closer look at what's happening in Prince George's County. That is where we find our Alexis Wainwright. Alexis, I know you've been out there all afternoon. What are you seeing right now in the Hyattsville area?
Well, Annie, I can tell you it is starting to rain. The rain picking back up here right now at this moment. But throughout the day, we've been seeing rain on and off. But also we've been seeing the wind pick up for a little bit. And that's what officials say you need to be mindful of. Really quickly, I want to show you right here off of 43rd Street near the district courthouse. This down tree, yes, it is a small tree. But again, it can just show you just how small and powerful these wind gusts can be as it moves through. Now, Prince George's County Office of Emergency Management says it's coordinating closely with the Department of Public Works and Transportation, along with public safety agencies to respond to the storm. We spoke with County Executive Aisha Berryboy. She tells me the county has added extra resources to make sure 311 calls are answered in a timely manner. Also, officials have brought in additional contractors to help public works crews handle issues like downed trees. Now, she says utility companies are also on standby in case there are any down power lines or outages. And many other schools here in Prince George's County, just like other jurisdictions, also dismissed students early today. So we spoke with some of those parents who decided to pick up their kids even earlier than the scheduled 2-hour early dismissal. Take a listen to what they had to say.
Well, the traffic is going to be heavy. I can see that. So I don't want to be caught in traffic. So I want to get home before everything starts. You know, just to play it safe.
My main message is to stay at home, be safe, get off the roadways, make sure that anything that you want, like your bicycles, anything that could move around with heavy winds, that you bring that inside.
And another reminder coming from the county tonight is to be mindful of where you park your car. Many of them say, if possible, try to avoid from parking underneath any big trees, right? Any power lines as well, to avoid that situation if things do pick up and get worse. So again, a lot of things happening here in Prince George's County. We'll continue to monitor and update you as we learn more. But for now, reporting live in Hyattsville, Annie, will send it back to you.
All right, good advice about not parking near trees. Thanks, Alexis. You can stick with us anytime there's bad weather. We stream our live radar and continuous updates on WUSA 9+. If you scan this QR code on your screen right now, that'll take you directly to a link for our coverage, and it's an easy way to stay connected even if you lose power. We are here to help keep you safe and informed.